as a teenager, I was somebody that smoked cigarettes. And because I had the identity to be, I'm a smoker. I'm somebody that smokes cigarettes. And what happened was at 20 years old, I decided enough's enough. It's not that I quit smoking. I wasn't a quitter. I was not a smoker. Today, I want to share some ideas around identity, some stories of how I've personally gone through my life and had to shift and iterate and morph the way I think about myself and how I show up in the world. Because I don't know if you're somebody that feels like you've got more to give and there's a part of you that feels blocked, where you keep trying to push, but you hit this ceiling and it's frustrating. I've seen a lot of friends of mine. I have one specific friend where, his whole life he's been just like trying to create, trying to build, and he keeps hitting this ceiling, right? And it's crazy because it's somebody who is a high performer. They do all the right things. They say all the right things. They read the books, and there's something missing. And what I want to share with you today is how to get to a place where you understand why you have these mental blocks, why you keep hitting these ceilings, and how to create a pattern to overcome them, just like you have a pattern for how you're stuck in them. And that's the big idea from today. And at the end, in the comments, I'm going to share with you a framework called Future Living that I created for my private coaching clients. I'm going to give you access to. It's a private training from an event I did, and it teaches you how to think, how to act today so that you live that way into the future. Very, very powerful. And it'll help you with the core concept of today's conversation, which is identity, right? That our reality is a byproduct of our identity. Who we think we are is going to show up in the world in that way. So for me, a really personal example is my whole life, I've always said I was big boned, okay? At 21 years old, I weighed 265 pounds. I was, I'm 6'2", 6'3". Back then I was probably 6'2". And essentially I was fat. I was overweight. I was drinking a lot. I was eating shit food. I was spending all my time at a computer writing code. I would go out with my friends, binge eat. It was literally the most unhealthy lifestyle you could live. And it made sense because I was big bone. So there was never a conflict in that identity. And what happened over the years is I started questioning myself. Am I truly big boned or am I just fat? Like, am I somebody that healthily should weigh 265 pounds, or should I weigh more like 220 pounds? Should my body fat percentage be so high? And are my decisions leading to that? And what's funny is we think that it's our decisions, but it's actually our identity. It's what we believe to be true that leads to that. And obviously, as I sit here in front of you today at 215 pounds, very lean triathlon, like competitor and athlete, it's a completely different lifestyle. And I see myself on that front, on the health side, and many other sides that has allowed me to get to where I'm at today. And I want to share with you some of these beliefs, right? Because a guy named T. Harv Eker has a great saying. He says, if you want to change the fruits, you have to be willing to change the roots. Okay. So if you want to change the fruits of the tree, then you have to be willing to change the roots. If you want to change the visible, you must first change the invisible, the mindset, the identity of everything, right? So a few beliefs. The core idea is identity, right? A lot of people think, once I have something, then I'll be a certain way. And unfortunately, the framework, it's incredibly powerful, is that first you need to be that person, then that will drive the doing of the activity, and then you will have the outcome. So some people think is once I'm a millionaire, then I'll be a millionaire. The crazy part is that having the identity of being a millionaire actually comes before you can produce the actions, which is the do, to eventually have the results of those beliefs, which is the have, right? And this might sound crazy, but when I was a teenager, I used to smoke. I smoked cigarettes. That was my identity. I was a bad kid. If you don't know my story, I grew up in a really challenging environment, ended up, in trouble with the law, addicted to drugs, etc. Right. And that all shifted when I was 17. But as a teenager, I was somebody that smoked cigarettes. And because I had the identity to be, I'm a smoker. I'm somebody that smokes cigarettes. And what happened was at 20 years old, I decided enough's enough. It's not that I quit smoking. I wasn't a quitter. I was not a smoker. So like even that idea of the identity of reframing it for yourself, of saying, it's not that I'm not this anymore. It's just I was never that. So instead of saying I'm not big boned, you say I'm an athlete, right? And that's kind of my journey. It literally started from like, I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker. So it's not like I quit. I wouldn't even tell people I quit. People meet me and they'd be smoking. They'd be like, want one? I go, no, I don't smoke. Perfect. Right? Not, no, I quit and it's been 2 years, right? Because that's a different identity, right? And it's so powerful because if you start with the be, do, have, the beliefs drive the actions that drive the results, everything starts to make sense. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to be somebody that collects these beliefs. When I look at my life and I see, the teenager that went through hell, rehab, jail, addiction, to the person today that gets to, multimillionaire, incredible family, incredible relationships, opportunities, speaker, etc. It's because I decided to audit my beliefs. I decided to really write down and say, what are things that I believe that may not be true, that are holding me back from being the person to take the actions I need to take to get the results, right? So it doesn't matter where you're at in your life today. You need to become the person who can deal with a higher level of issues, which means you have to start reprogramming those beliefs, right? You might have money beliefs. You might have performance beliefs. You might have productivity beliefs. You might have relationship beliefs. You might have emotional triggers. And these are all opportunities for you to really double down on who you are and how you're showing up in the world. So for me, becoming a belief collector is the idea of, as I read, when I read books, I literally highlight the passages where I'm going to adopt that. I'm going to adopt that. I like that question. I like that statement. And over time, you get to a place where, for example, one of the beliefs I have is 100% accountability. And when I say 100% accountability, I don't mean like when it serves me. I mean 100% accountability. I don't care if I get in a car accident. I'm accountable for how I react to that situation. Now, I'm not an idiot and realize that like I created that car accident if I wasn't the person that was the cause of it. But I am 100% accountable for how I view and perceive and respond to those situations. That's one of many examples of beliefs over the years that I've collected, that I've internalized, that I continue to work on, right? The belief that, we need to become the person who can deal. The belief that all of our desires live on the other side of fear. So if I'm not anxious about my day, if it doesn't scare me, if it doesn't push me out of my comfort zone, then you might ask yourself, is it even worth doing, right? The belief that I'm responsible for the energy that I allow into my life. So if I have people that are energy vampires, I'm responsible for that. And how they show up in my life is going to impact my ability to have energy throughout the day. And that one is a big one, belief collector, becoming a belief collector. And then the third I want to share with you that I think is really powerful is momentum. Momentum is probably the area that if I had to go back, I don't have a whole lot I would change. But after I sold my company Spheric, there was about a 2-year period, even though I started a company called Flowtown, there was a 2-year period where I kind of took my foot off the gas. And I underestimated the amount of value in creating momentum, that 1% better every day, that drive, that obsession, right? Healthy, constructive, positive, but just, I thought after I had that big win that I'm going to take some time off and I'm going to treat myself and be a little bit more lax on all these success habits I had created at that point. And when I look at a period of my time, that is one area, that one time, and it was a great lesson to learn. That's why I'm here today, is I've taken that moment, and now momentum to me means that I will never not play the game. I'm going to design my life so that I can play this game for the rest of my life, right? The game I'm creating, this game of life, this game of business, this integrated life that I talk about often. So to me, momentum is about celebrating small wins. One thing I do with my kids is when they have a success, when they learn to ride their bike or hike a big mountain or draw something really impressive, not only do we celebrate what they did, but what I remind them is like, celebrate where you came from. Look at where you came from and connect the dots, because to me, that's the part that entrepreneurs are horrible at. We don't give ourselves credit to say, man, here's a great belief that I love is, or just even a saying, a quote, remember the day when these problems you're facing today were dreams you wish you had. Interesting. The challenges you're dealing with today in the past were dreams of yours that you wish you had the opportunity to deal with. And that is today. And now you're like down on yourself or frustrated or depressed or anxious or feel overwhelmed when this is what you wanted. There was a day when you didn't have any of this, and it is now your reality. And I just think celebrating small wins, a guy named Charlie Rocket, Charlie CEO, he has a thing called the Dream Bus. One of his quotes that he talks about is being on a winning streak. Man, consume that guy's content. He is the most positive, motivating individual I've ever come across. And I have all the time in the world for anything Charlie does. His projects, his speaking, anytime he does a podcast interview, I want to hear it because you can see somebody that's continued to evolve. I mean, the guy went from overweight to being a Nike athlete. He went from being, coming from a really tough environment to becoming a top music producer, to now enabling people's dreams all over the US. He created a bus and he goes in and he gifts people like workers at drive-through windows, etc. And he partners with other influencers and celebrities to do this work. And the winning streak, because a lot of people have the tattoo. That's why I do this. People actually wrote winning streak. Why? Because if you wake up and you're alive, Charlie, he's like, man, I'm on a winning streak. You go get a Starbucks coffee, whatever your drink is. Mine is, I really love a dirty chai, extra hot, right? Dirty chai latte, extra hot. Winning streak. Why? I mean, look at this beautiful thing that you get to consume for a few dollars. And people underestimate the value of momentum, the value of perceiving every situation. Because here's the deal. People worry all the time. And the probability of the thing they're worrying about is the exact same probability of something miraculous happening. Like literally, like I could die tomorrow. The probability of you dying tomorrow is the same probability of you winning the lottery. Probably, right? Like there's a good chance you're going to live and there's a good chance you're not going to win the lottery. But yet we choose to focus on the things that probably won't happen, the bad. And I just love this idea of like celebrating the win, celebrating the momentum, the winning streak to get you on this movement of stronger beliefs. So again, your reality is a reflection of your strongest beliefs in life. And the metaphor that I like to share with people, with coaching clients is, if you don't start taking some of these negative beliefs out of your backpack, okay? So imagine this, you have a backpack and you have a bunch of negative beliefs and they're these rocks and they're very heavy. And every time you hear something or something bad happens to you, you take that moment and you crystallize it in this heavy weight and you throw it in the backpack. And if you don't decide, even if you're successful, because you're somebody that's climbing the ladder of success and you're winning in life, is if you don't decide to start processing each one of those rocks and look at them and go, okay, what belief do I have around that? Is that supporting me? No. What would be the empowering belief? What would be the positive belief? What would be the goal-oriented, supportive belief? And then rewriting that, reworking through this, and that becomes light like a feather. And that is what you carry. So what happens is the more you rewrite your identity and change your beliefs and celebrate the momentum, is all of a sudden now this backpack that might weigh 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 250 pounds. Imagine trying to climb the ladder of success. And as you go through crap, you keep loading it full of heavier things. Are you going to be able to climb that ladder? Or is the weight of those beliefs and that trauma and those challenges that you face in the past and the stories that you've told about those situations going to hold you back? And my wish and hope for you is that you can evaluate each one of those and take them out of the backpack and then throw them back in when they're light as a feather to support you to move faster. Because if you do this work, you will actually become a better leader, a better husband, a better friend for the people you care about the most, which I think is just such a beautiful thing to become for you. And so my call to action, okay, is to audit your beliefs. Who do you think you are today? Write down on a piece of paper. Write down, it's like, here's my characteristics. And write down, like, I'm a funny person. I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And then ask yourself, is there anything in there that I feel is holding me back? And grab one of them and ask yourself, what is the opposite belief or habit around that characteristic of who you are, and work on that. And use that as a strategy to keep iterating, keep improving. And if you do that, I guarantee your life will look dramatically different, even in 12 months. If you do that consistently, your life will look completely different than the one you believe in today. People will not even recognize the person, not that you won't look different, you'll sound different or look different, but you will react differently, and it will be perceived, and you will inspire others, and you will shine your light for the rest of the world to receive. And I think that is an area worth doing. So if you want the future living framework, how I think about visualizing into the future, acting today, designing that identity so that you can project it into the future, click the link below to get access to that training. And I would love to hear from everybody below in the comments. Let me know, what is the number one takeaway for you? What was the most important thing you needed to hear today from what I shared with you? I want to hear from everybody in the comments below. And with that, hope this video finds you incredibly well. And we'll talk soon. Peace. Later.